Don't be fooled by the 27-13 final score. The number 3 Georgia Bulldogs up against the number 1 Tennessee Volunteers. This was a statement win to the College Football Playoff Committee as far as who really belongs at number 1. Hey everybody, this is Sarah Spencer with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and this is Know Your Dogs. To help me break down today's big win, I'll be joined by Georgia coach Kirby Smart, defensive back Keely Ringo, quarterback Stetson Bennett, and running back Kenny McIntosh. So stay with us.
Not that we felt like we overlooked, we did feel a little like, I can say we felt like we wasn't being respected as much as we deserved or anything like that. So I say going into that week that we really prepared the way that we needed to, dial into the game plan and really go out there and execute today. I know it's an SEC opponent and this is for the East, so we definitely took that throughout practice. We definitely took that in hard and had that chip on our shoulder during practice to go out there and dominate so that we could be victorious.
Georgia's defense entered this game dead last in the SEC in sacks with 10. They had 6 on Tennessee quarterback Hendon Hooker in this game alone. What's more, Tennessee's offense came into this game averaging 49.4 points per game. That's the highest scoring offense in FBS. Georgia's defense held that Tennessee offense to 1 touchdown and 13 points. I spoke with defensive back Keely Ringo, who struggled at times a little bit this season, and he spoke about how he's taking pride in this win both personally and as a team.
There's a lot of times in past games and also throughout the season that me personally, I wasn't happy with my play a good amount of times. I definitely have a lot more to improve as well, technique-wise and also finding the ball. I feel like I wasn't able to do that in the past games as well, and just continue to compete.
How much pride do you guys as a defense take in limiting the number 1 scoring offense in the country to 13 points, only 1 touchdown?
I mean, like, it's a great feeling, honestly. Just knowing how much we prepared for this game, knowing that the things that we said were going to happen actually did happen. Just continuing to work, honestly, and just trust our training. I feel like Coach Smart definitely knows every single scheme and what we're going to be attacked with, and he puts us through harder situations that we're actually going to be able to see in the game. So when it comes to the game, it's definitely easier to be able to execute. So it's a great feeling.
I think it's definitely fair to say both Georgia as a team and the Sanford Stadium crowd got up for this game like crazy, even when it started pouring in the second half. This Sanford Stadium crowd forced Tennessee's offense into 7 false starts. So honestly, Kirby Smart said they were the number 2 MVP in this game.
I always tell people, when you can't hear, it's deafening. Like, what's more deafening than deafening? They have that little decibel thing. I don't understand that thing at all. There's no way it's accurate. I mean, but I look at it as Kentucky was loud, Arkansas was loud, Notre Dame was loud, and loud is loud. So there's a point where you cannot hear, and I was proud of our fans because I don't know if our stadium is exactly built vertically for just crazy crowd noise, but they were impactful tonight.
Georgia quarterback Stetson Bennett's cell phone number got leaked, and you can imagine what Tennessee fans did with that. But if he wanted to respond, he now has some really, really good material.
I wouldn't say motivation, but it's there's probably something there, yeah.
257 passing yards for Stetson Bennett, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Georgia's offense got off to a fast start. That's normally Tennessee's thing, but this time it was Georgia doing it, and really that momentum carried Georgia throughout the game.
We got up for this one. We were ready to go, and now the challenge is in the coming weeks, continuing that. Right, it's not a one done thing. We're going to an extremely hard place to play next week in Mississippi State. They've got a really good football team, so we got to keep that going.
All right, everybody, let's bring in our Georgia beat writer, Chip Towers. Chip, 27-13 final score. I don't really think that's necessarily indicative of how much a beatdown this turned out to be, and I want to brag on us real quick, because if you watched our Facebook Live before the game, you remember us saying that that Stetson Bennett would air it out and they'd be fine doing it, that Georgia's defense would step up with Nolan Smith out, and that the crowd would be a huge difference maker. Fair to say that all of that happened.
I think I might have thrown in there too that Georgia would win by 2 scores.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You did. He did.
I don't know. But didn't it? It's crazy though, because it felt like so much more of a dominating game. I mean, Georgia wins 27-13 over the number 1 team in the country. So, it is what it is. But, I mean, it felt much more like that 48-7 win over South Carolina. It was total domination. Right there at the end, the weather changed, caused a couple of turnovers.
Pouring.
Georgia took the air out of the football by their own admission, maybe a little too much, even Kirby says. But at the end of the day, Tennessee was never going to win this game. And that was it. They made a statement, as I wrote at ajc.com, to the College Football Playoff Committee. They said, hey, check this out.
Complementary football is something Kirby Smart talked about after the game. Georgia maybe is not, they don't have a Heisman hopeful, but this is a balanced team, and you saw that today.
Yeah, I mean, that's what was really on display here. I got to go back and count this. I don't know how many times Kirby referred to the plan, right? He said plan. I don't know how many times he said plan.
It was in the teens.
It's got to be
had to be in the teens.
He was talking about a plan. He said we had a good plan. We just stuck to the plan. We executed the plan, and man, they did. And that was the thing he said. I thought probably the best thing he said in the whole thing was somebody asked him how he slept this week, knowing what all was going on. He said, as the week went on, I slept better and better. And that's because they felt better and better about the plan they had. And he said, at the end of the day, the players executed the plan, and it was sort of a validation. Look, it's not old school football, all right? Georgia can go explosive. We saw that today whenever they want to. But complementary football, that's PLE in the middle of that word, it means that both offensively and defensively, that both sides are helping each other, and special teams. We saw a 75-yard punt tonight. I mean, it was about as good as you could play.
That's the most gorgeous thing I've ever seen.
That was incredible.
That was insane.
Yeah.
Jaw hit the floor.
It followed later in the game. I'm sure Brett Thorson, the Aussie punter, would appreciate me saying it. And it followed by a shank later in the game. But no, that was an unbelievable punt and so meaningful to what was going on in the first half.
0 touchdowns for Heisman frontrunner Tennessee quarterback Hendon Hooker.
Yeah.
They squeaked a touchdown in there late, which again padded the score a little bit, but 0 touchdowns for him. What does that say about, hey, we talked about Keely Ringo and how he had struggled a little bit this year.
Yeah.
That whole Georgia secondary was going to be tested, but my gosh, I mean, they really did not yield anything.
Yeah, I mean, when they got it to 2 scores, I guess there was a danger of an onside kick and, score again, an onside kick, and score again possibly, and everything. But I can tell you in that press box, nobody was impressed. And there was a whole lot of writers that kind of, you heard them all slam because you got your narrative kind of at that point. Georgia's defense did not give up a touchdown, the entire game. They got one with 4 minutes and 15 seconds left in the game. We also they had 0 explosive plays. So a great stat in this game. Tennessee came in with 54 plays of 20 or more yards. They had 0 until a pass with 4 minutes and 30 seconds left in the game set up their only touchdown. So
and kind of garbage time.
It was garbage time for all practical purposes. Unbelievable job Georgia's defense put together tonight.
What did you see from the offense, whether that's Stetson Bennett or honestly Ladd McConkey?
Yeah.
We've seen Ladd McConkey have some drops. He muffed a punt earlier this season. He had a great game today.
Yeah.
It was 94 receiving yards and that touchdown.
Yeah, McConkey had a fantastic game, and he led them in receiving. Listen, don't discount those punts that he caught. They punted a lot of times. He fair caught without any bobbles or anything like that. And, Stetson Bennett hits him for the 37-yard touchdown, and that was after all that rigmarole in the end zone that you and I were convinced that should have been a safety for Georgia. I didn't think that guy got out of the end zone, but whatever. They end up punting the ball. Big deal, right? One play. Pass right down the middle for Ladd McConkey. He was one of 9 receivers that Stetson Bennett completed passes to, and a lot of the reporters were asking after the game, Bennett to Stetson Bennett, how'd it feel to kind of show Tennessee and beat them at their own game, with some explosive plays. He said we weren't thinking about that whatsoever. He said we were thinking about what we knew we could do during practice during the week and just executing that, and that's exactly what happened with that play and a few others.
Give me your knee-jerk reaction to this game, because I don't know that anyone thought it was going to be, again, final score, it's whatever, But I don't know that anyone thought the number 3 team in the country, Georgia just recently felt slighted by being number 3.
Yeah.
Tennessee's number 1. They're kind of on top of the world. And then this just brings them crashing back down.
Well, I would be really shocked and disappointed if Georgia doesn't go back to number 1 in the college football playoff poll, or to number 1.
Yeah.
It'll be the second one of the year. They were dropped to 3 in Tennessee and nor did number 1. And the good news is most of the national media was in that press box. I mean, there were over 500.
So they saw it and they felt it.
So they saw it with their own eyes. The problem with the final score is it's the ones that didn't, they're going to look and think, Georgia squeaked it out at home, which is nothing of the sort. So that is the one thing. The flip side of that, Ohio State is actually number 2 ahead of Georgia right now, but they struggled to win 21-7 on the road against a 1-7 Northwestern team. So, I mean, it's
not a great look.
So, I mean, I wrote they ought to be number 1. I would be really shocked and disappointed if they aren't when it comes out Tuesday.
Chip, thank you so much for joining me. Thanks to all of you for watching. Make sure you go to ajc.com or subscribe to our YouTube channel to find more videos just like this one.